Okay, fifth grade, today we're going to start lesson 9-8 on subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, found on page 236 and 237 of your textbook. So make sure your textbook is out and your spiral is next to it. Our objective today, very similar to our last lesson, is I can subtract fractions with unlike denominators in such a way as to produce an equivalent difference of fractions with like denominators. So our question we'll be looking at today is, how can you subtract fractions with unlike denominators? Exactly the same, fifth grade, as adding, except obviously now we'll be subtracting. So let's get our steps. Our first steps will be, if you do not have common denominators, you need to get a common denominator. So we need to find the LCM of the denominators. This number will become your least common denominator, or your LCD. Step 2 then, you're going to write your equivalent fractions using the LCD. Then in step 3, instead of adding now, we are going to subtract the equivalent fractions. And then our last and final step is to go ahead and simplify if necessary. Okay, let's take a look now at the top of page 236, where it asks you, how can you subtract fractions with unlike denominators? It said Linda used 1/4 yard of the fabric she bought for a sewing project. How much fabric did she have left? Okay, it says choose an operation. It says subtract to find out how much fabric was left. Well, look at that picture, fifth grade. How much fabric did she start with? What is there? Good, 2/3, okay? And then how much did she use? 1/4. Good. All right, now look across the top of page 237. You will see that they have listed the steps just like I had listed, and hopefully you have copied in your notes by now. Step 1 says to change the fractions to equivalent fractions with a common denominator. Find the LCM of the denominators. So you see there, they listed the multiples of 3 and the multiples of 4, and they found the LCM to be 12, which now becomes your LCD. And then they show you step 2 to write the equivalent fractions. So they take 2/3 and they change it into 8/12. And you will see 1/4 turns to 3/12. Your step 3 is to subtract. So simplify if necessary then. So 8 minus 3 gives us what? 5/12. So you see there that Linda has 5/12 yard of fabric left. Okay, now that we've read through it and you kind of followed with me, let's get it down in our notes. So the first example here, please write the problem 2/3 minus 1/4. Okay, 3 and 4 are not a common denominator, so we need to get one by going ahead and finding the LCM. So multiples of 3, and these are copied in your book, and I'll get them copied in your notes. 3, 6, 9, and 12. Multiples of 4, again remembering to get the multiples, we do 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. You will see the smallest number that they're sharing at this point is 12. So your LCM is 12, which now becomes your LCD, which is 12, which takes us to step 2, which now you need to line up your problem so we can make equivalent fractions. Now we need to change 2/3 to 12ths. 3 times what gives us 12? The 4. 2 times 4 gives us 8. So now we have 8/12. 4 times what gives us 12? 3. Good job. So since we do that to the bottom, we multiply to the top to make our equivalent fraction. What's 1 times 3? 3. Okay, now you will see we have common denominators, so now we may subtract. Again, you're only subtracting the numerators. So what is 8 take away 3? 5. Denominator stays the same. So our final answer is 5/12. Now our last part of our step we need to see is if we need to simplify. Is there any number we could divide 5 and 12 by evenly? No, we can't. So we know now this is done. Now again, fifth grade, if you forget, well, how am I 100% sure about this? List their factors. Then if you know if the greatest common factor is 1, then you know it is simplified. So factors of 5 is 1 times 5. Factors of 12 is 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. You will see the only number they share is 1. So again, if your GCF is 1, then you know your fraction is in simplest form. All right, good job. Same like adding, fifth grade. The biggest difference here is when you come to the end step, you need to take away. You need to subtract. All right, good job. Okay, now we're going to jump right into guided practice. It says, do you know how? In 1 through 4, find each difference. Again, difference is the answer to a subtraction problem, and simplify if necessary. So now you see in the textbook that you have 5/6, and they gave you is equal to 5/6 minus 1/2, which is equal to 3/6, and they gave that to you. So you will notice here, these are not the same, they're not common.